Greetings and welcome to Self-Worth Sundays of a woman's self-worth, where women, worth, and wellness are number one. I am very excited about our guest today. Our guest today is my very own mother, Cynthia Jones, and we are so ready to explore some topics with you in our healing journey. And we hope and pray and meditate that it is a source of encouragement, of enlightenment, and of inspiration. So let me just let her right on in. Welcome.
Good morning, daughter.
Good morning, Ma. How are you today?
All is well, and you?
I'm wonderful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful every day
Amen.
for this wonderful journey of healing and of progress and of all that good stuff. So thank you so much for coming on and being willing to be transparent and open about this conversation that we're about to have, and really that we've already been having. We actually published a book, so we'll get to that towards the end. But
Yes.
I just have some questions for you. I thought it would be a wonderful thing to open this up for others to begin to also explore their own emotional landscape and some of the things that have gone on in their own lives. I think a lot of people would be able to relate to your journey as a woman, my journey as a woman, and then our journeys collaboratively
Collectively.
and collectively as
Absolutely.
mothers and all of that. So it was just really important to me, and I feel compelled and even inspired to do that. So thank you so much for coming on. So
And I thank you for the platform that you have presented to discuss, which is such an important topic
yeah,
as the process of the healing.
absolutely. So this again continues our conversation of healing the child within, which was the theme of the month of January. So before we begin, I wanted to just share two poignant situations from my childhood that I remember, and then kind of discuss that as a segue into the questions that I have for you. So basically, I remember being no more than 8 years old. So I know that in my early childhood, we were all living in the same home with your siblings because you had me rather young. You did give birth at 19, a few weeks shy of your 20th birthday. So you were still rather young. So you were still living with, your parents and your younger siblings, who I believe were teenagers at that time. So that was my beginning for the most part. And I remember Uncle moving out and Nana moving out. And like, I don't want to say the year because I might give away my age. I'm like, I don't want to say that.
Well, I'll put mine out there, but that's your
No, it's
choice to
okay.
make.
I'm just joking, but I remember being around 6 years old, and they were very much like security blankets for me, if you will, for lack of a better term. So I know, as children, we don't process these things that happen in our lives. I mean, I was 6 years old, but looking back, I can see how that would have affected my psyche, because having Nana and Poppy move out and then having Uncle move out, that now it was just you and I and Auntie. So anyway, I just wanted to give that backdrop. I remember one time, I couldn't be no more than 8, so it was somewhere in that phase of life. And I guess you came home from work, you were stressed apparently or whatever. Children don't always have, we don't have insight into what adults,
Interpretations.
right, what adults are going through on a real
Yes.
level, just to put food on the table or just to survive or whatever. We're children, so we don't really have that developed perception and understanding at that point. But I remember knocking on the door. You just went straight into the room and like shut the door. And I was like, I was already home from school. I had been home alone perhaps for many hours. So I'm hungry. You know, I knocked on the door and I was
Wanted
like,
some interaction.
right. I knocked on the door and I was like, so what's for dinner? You
What's
know,
up?
like what's going on? Like I'm starving. You know what I'm saying? And you open up the door and I said, Mommy, what's for dinner? And you said, whatever you making, and shut the door in my face. Now I don't remember if
and it's funny how you so vividly remember it the way I remember it. That's just how it happened. Okay.
Okay, so you remember it as well. You remember that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I already knew I wasn't making up, but it's interesting that you remember it as well. So there was another situation. I think I was coming from camp or something like that. I had been home and I came home. I didn't have the key to the apartment at that point. And, you know, I knock on the door, no one's home. So I went to, and God, I'm a child. I don't even know how old I was. I just know I was alone. The bus had dropped me off. And I want to say, again, around the same age frame. I don't know where my best friend at that time was because, you know, I was always with her, you know, past a certain point, I was always with her and her mom. So I really can't date it for some reason.
Pinpoint, right.
Right. But I remember like coming home and trying to get access to the apartment. I can't get in. I don't have the key. And then I went to your boyfriend's apartment at the time. I walked to that building and I'm ringing the intercom. Nobody's answering the intercom. So I'm just out here, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, I had to use the bathroom. And I ended up going to the bathroom on myself. And I'm like, I'm swearing, I'm like, I hope these are not just bad dreams that seem so real to me that they actually happen. But these are just two situations from my childhood that just paint a picture of, you know, me feeling unwanted, feeling unloved,
abandoned.
Right, and feeling abandoned emotionally. And even physically in many cases. I was alone often, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to paint that picture for our listening audience. And then I wanted to, and I'm so grateful to be in a space where there is no judgment, because for a long time I harbored a lot of anger. And I didn't always know where it was coming from, you know what I mean? But I feel like I had a lot of silent anger. I had a lot of subconscious, unconscious
unanswered questions
of unworthiness, low self-esteem or whatever. And I never was able to really determine where it came from, or I was, but it just took me some time to really, really get in there and really do the healing work. So can you talk a little bit about what you were going through? What were you experiencing as a young woman and as a young mother that impacted and affected how you dealt with me as a child?
Well, going back to, you were saying I was 19, 2 weeks shy of my 20th birthday. So that being said, it was like generational. My mother had me at 17. I had you at 19.
I don't even think Nana was 17. She was 16, right? Was she 17?
16, 4 months before her 17th birthday. Okay. And you don't have a blueprint for being a mother. You know by what you see or what you think you see by the mother that's setting an example. Okay. And that conflict in of itself sometimes, okay, I felt, given the backdrop that you just gave, that my mother was your mother, okay?
In so
And
many ways, yes, she was.
absolutely. Okay. And that distance that I felt, warranted or unwarranted, because you look at things differently as you head down the road. And my perceptions now are not what they were then.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that dynamic of being young, having a built-in babysitter, like you said, selfishly left me free, being that your rearing was in mommy's hands, Billy's hands, and Cheryl's hands.
Well, I was trying
Okay,
not to say no names, but okay.
huh?
I was trying not to say no names because it's public, I don't want, but it's okay. I don't want
Oh,
to put
okay.
names out there, but it's out
Oh,
there already.
okay. But anyway, that was my thinking at the time. And as wrong as it was, you know, I'm mending those fences to this day.
Mm, okay. I respect that and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry if there's an echo. I'm hearing like a little echo in the video, but I really don't want to stop because I think that this is so powerful and we need to just continue. So please forgive the echo if you're hearing like something on the video with the sound. Okay. So you said a lot. How do you think that impacted you said something about being young. And so you were young, so you still kind of wanted to live your life. You really were not ready to be a mother. Is that what you're saying? Or really didn't expect
Yes,
to, or even want to be a mother at that point? You still wanted to live your life
correct. All of that.
and do all of that. So it felt my my upbringing, if you will, my raising, my rearing, my
My
well-being
responsibility fell on them.
fell on them. So let's talk about that a little bit because we're going to get to Nana and how did that impact your relationship with your mother if it wasn't already strained before that? Because let's give a backdrop for Nana. She had already, and we're going to talk about her and your dad and more of those circumstances that may have led themselves to pour themselves into you and who you
Right.
became at that point. But before we delve into that, I just want to say a little something about my grandmother who passed in 2019. She was already a single mother of three. So she had raised the three of you for the most part. You have to go a little bit deeper into the ages of when that happened, but she had already become a single mother herself and had that struggle with three children and lost her mother at the age of 10.
Right.
So she had already been motherless as a child and then became a single mother at the age of 16, 6 years later, and then ended up, I'm sure she didn't expect to end up raising the three of you alone. So she had her own struggle emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, mentally,
Absolutely. And may
financially,
I just
all of that before I even came along. And now it's like baby number 4. She now has to foot the bill, if you will, financially, and also in so many ways. And there were many others that I just need to stop because both of my grandmothers, both of them, my father's mother and your mother, my mother's mother.
Peace be still, Lord.
There's so much a part of me to this day.
Glory.
There's so much a part of me to this day, and I'm just so grateful to have had such beautiful
dynamic
women in my life. And there have been many beautiful women in my life, but my grandmothers,
Sweet.
Hats off. And I'm just so grateful that I can look back and have so many memories with them, and what they poured into me. Sometimes they don't even realize they're pouring, but you learn from the people around you. So, and I'm
Yes.
grateful for everyone that was in my early childhood, and that helped me to become the woman that I am today. I'm deeply grateful because I love who I have become, and I know it's because of so many of these wonderful people that have poured into me from childhood up until now. So
What
I'm
a
sorry, I
blessing.
know, yeah, it is a
What a
blessing.
blessing.
It is a blessing. I know I'm going off, but I'm
As
on a
we so
tangent.
often do on both our parts.
Yeah, but I just wanted to go into this because that mama wound, um, I see that with you as well. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Can you go into some of your experiences with Nana, and maybe some of the childhood experiences that you had, um, and some of the environmental factors that may have shaped your mind a certain way to get to a point where you have a child and you're really not emotionally or even physically available a lot of times.
Engaged.
Yeah.
That detachment.
Yes. Were there any childhood experiences, environmental factors that would contribute to you becoming this young woman who would not engage your own child, or
Mm.
would not be emotionally, physically present? Does that make sense? Are you following my line?
I think that sprung out of when my father left.
Mm.
I was 12 years old, and he was my everything. He was my savior. He was my protector
Mm.
in the environment of growing up with a light-skinned brother and sister, being dark-skinned.
Mm.
He
And he was
I
dark skinned. He
was
was dark
the
skinned as
apple
well.
of
You look
his
just
eye.
like him. So he was dark
Huh?
skinned as well. I said he was dark skinned as well. You look just like him. So
Yes, absolutely. And having that comfort zone taken away from me, I was devastated. And
mm.
at the time, the way I looked at it, that if you remember, feisty and fiery are two adjectives to describe your Nana.
Yeah, she probably
Okay.
mellowed out with age, but not really. She got, she got a little
But she
mellow.
still had that
You know,
spark.
yeah, she
Okay.
said
So
that was just who she was. But I think a lot of that had to do with what she's been through in life. And let me let you
absolutely.
finish. I'm gonna come back to this.
Okay.
I don't want to.
And, growing up in that environment, looking at my dad, getting pummeled by my mom, verbally,
I can see.
and growing up
I
in
can
that
see it.
environment. And when he left,
Yeah.
I looked at it as she, pushed him out the door, which is, my perception as a 12-year-old. Okay, which I didn't find when I found out later, things
We always find
aren't
out later.
always what you perceive them to be. Just because you look at something, you get to know it as time goes by, so to speak. Okay.
Right. Absolutely. So you began to understand her a little bit better
Absolutely.
with age,
Absolutely.
perhaps,
And,
as you got older.
I think I spent a lot of years, trying to validate myself in her space. You know, I, one of the last conversations that I had with her, I was like, the bottom line is, God made me this way. Do you think it's easy being me and your daughter too? Like, you know, but standing up to your mother isn't easy. Okay. But
Right.
That's
So
why this forum is so important.
awesome. So a few things. What I'm hearing from you and what you're saying is that perhaps you did not feel, like I said, well, I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel validated. I didn't feel supported or nurtured by you. Are you
Right.
saying that you didn't feel that from your mother?
Yes, I always felt separated from her. There was no intimacy. Okay.
Hmm.
I never, I'm not going to say never, because I'm sure there were moments, but as a whole, no.
Okay, so there's a lot of dynamics here because yeah, it's a lot of dynamics here. But you felt that her mother died when she was 10. Then she became a single mother not well, she birthed you all and then whatever time became a single mother. So there
Right.
was a lot going on with her that perhaps she didn't have the apparatus or know how to process or didn't want to process. A lot of times we don't know how to deal with our pain, and
Yes.
we don't talk about it, especially that older generation. I find like talking was
Absolutely.
something that was not necessarily what
That was
many of them
taboo.
did. It was taboo. We do not talk. I think as time progresses, we're becoming more comfortable with these kinds of conversations just because
Yes.
there has been so much that has transpired and we need the healing, and we're becoming more comfortable as generations are born to heal our own wounds and perhaps even heal, even though they're no longer here. I think there's just a beautiful process in this
Yes,
healing
it
journey.
is.
We're healing them in ourselves
Amen.
because
Yes.
we are their seed and we are their progeny.
And we're shining their light.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is not to take anything away from her as a woman. I love and I know you do too, and I know we all do, so deeply, but there were obviously things there that I feel, quite frankly, my grandmother went to her grave with carrying a lot of pain, which pained me to see. That I feel like there were a lot of things she just never really was able to release emotionally.
Yes.
And almost to her dying day, she kept talking about how she had to leave her children because she had to leave in the house 4 o'clock in the morning, and she would make sure that the neighbor had the key to check on y'all. I mean, this is 60 something years
Yeah.
later, and she just never, I don't believe she ever healed from that either. And unfortunately, I don't know if you all ever even really talked about the impact of your father leaving.
Not at all.
So again, it goes back to us not having these conversations, and what happens
Absolutely.
is it spills into areas and
Right.
things, and next thing you know, poof, things can manifest in ways that are not healthy just because we're not always talking about
Right.
so many different things. So you have any comments on that? Like, you spoke about your father leaving, and you feel like that was huge and impacting your mothering. Why would him leaving impact you, how you mothered me?
Let me see. He left at 12. I had you at 19. I don't know. Like, it stunted my growth, my confidence in myself. Remember
Did you
those,
blamed yourself in some way for that?
for my dad leaving? No, I blame mom.
You
With her
blamed her.
feisty and fiery demeanor, she, in my eyes.
Okay, so
but now I know where it came from. Okay. Her demeanor.
Okay. So I'm losing my train of thought here. It was something very, very critical I wanted to say. So it seems like a lot surrounds that situation for her and for you. You said something about how you were a dark child, your siblings are lighter. Did you feel at all, not that it was valid, but did you feel, and it may be valid, I mean, I don't know. Did you feel that part of the strain with her was that you were dark? Because you were born in the 50s, so this was a whole different era, right?
Right.
So you're
right.
a dark child. How did that play into your self-perception, your self-love, your self-worth at all? Because I know we talked about this before, but can you just...
Well, subconsciously, probably one thing stands out in my mind. My sister asked my mother, I don't remember what age I was, but my sister asked my mother, why is my sister's face so dark? Why is her face so dirty? So even 50s, however long it's been, that kind of played into my psyche. I don't know for what, and my sister's younger than me. So what, once me being firstborn and having that privilege of you ever being daddy's girl or whatever it was, that kind of, hit me a certain way and kind of detached me from, that which hurts. Okay.
Right. So you felt emotionally estranged in many situations because you were dark, or because of that comment, you just kind of internalized
that whole
that
dynamic. Yes.
So did you internalize that as something was wrong with you at that point? Even if it was unconscious, that there was something different, there was something
That's
wrong
what I said. Yeah, subconscious, unconscious, but
and I'm let me say, I'm sure Auntie didn't mean, she was a child herself. So this is the era that you are all born in and living in. This is the era,
Right.
I remember when I was a small child looking at Poppy, who was, I guess he was lighter than, and I remember asking Nana if he was white. And he wasn't that light, but he was lighter. So a lot of times as children, we don't necessarily, we're children. Children are so innocent. We don't know. We just know from what.
We're just inquisitive. Why does a certain
and we're going on,
look a certain way?
And we're going on what we're being fed by the society or in the household or whatever. But the larger society has of course, would have a huge role to play. So I just wanted to say that as well. But you interpret that and you internalize that at the age of what?
I want to say 10 to 12, somewhere in
so by the age of 10,
before teens.
So
preteen.
Right. And I'm sure the larger society, there may have been something you saw on television or that you overheard, in addition to that, that would give you
Absolutely
some sense of so did you
less than.
I'm less than, I'm inferior, I'm not good enough, I'm inadequate, I'm not worthy or whatever because I'm dark? Did you have those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts?
Yes, absolutely.
So did you
and like I said, I just detached. What's the running away?
So now we get into something. It took us a little while. It took us a little while to get here, but we here now. So this is deep. So you said you detached, you become emotionally estranged. So you're saying you became emotionally detached and estranged from your own family?
Yes.
You did?
Exactly.
So,
because I didn't feel part of a family, especially after my father left.
okay. And of course, you're 12 years old. So you're having all these emotions, but you're not processing that. It's just
Right.
there. But you're not at an age where you have the emotional, literacy or capacity.
Make sense and connect the
Right,
dots of what's,
right.
what the flow is.
So what were some of the behavior? Do you want to talk about some of the situations or behaviors or whatever? Did anything flow from him leaving and then you feeling estranged and from your family and feeling emotionally detached? How did you try to fill that hole?
Well, going back, I rebelled, and since
Mm,
I perceived my mother to be the object of my,
mm.
discontent, I it started with her. She said yes, I said no, you know, that whole dynamic began.
Because you blamed her. As
Correct.
many children, and I'm not a psychologist, so, you know, I feel like a lot of times children do blame the parent that is left.
Right.
And they have to deal with the survival aspect and taking
The
care of the child, in
fallout
addition to
from
their
that.
anger that the other
Yes.
parent is gone. So that becomes like a double whammy for the parent that is left behind, and
Yes.
the child is not able to perceive that. So we are continuing about the healing the child within.
Yes.
Awesome.
We're back there.
So how did you try to fill these voids, Ma? How did you fill these try to fill these holes? You
I
did
was
rebel.
party central. Okay. I hung out, I ran out, I partied, I drank, I smoked, all the social
Socially
ills,
acceptable.
if you want to say.
Okay, so now that your daddy, you daddy little girl, daddy's little girl, and now that is gone from you. Did you start to seek um validation, that same father, quote unquote, in men?
Yes.
You did.
Yes. I typically now like older men, even back in my late 20s. I was 28 dating a man that was 47. Okay. So I was always chasing
Mm,
that image. But as years have passed, I can also appreciate their knowledge and what they bring to the table, being older, and the lessons I can learn from them. Because my late husband, who was 10 years older than me, gave me some very invaluable lessons. Absolutely. So, you know, um, different light. Okay, from then and now I can appreciate where back then I only exacerbated a situation.
okay. So it's funny you say that because I know uh, something else is vivid in my mind about my childhood is that I felt like you always put your men, whoever was the man in your life, that man came before me. Which was something
Yes,
else
we've
that damaged my psyche and my feelings of
mm-hmm.
self-worth. That's also a part of the feeling emotionally abandoned, part of the emotional neglect. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? That also stemmed from your father being absent after the age of
Absent.
12. So was that still that was still a need there? So it was like, I'm trying to fill this hole. My daughter comes after that.
I think that's a good analogy of looking at it. I was selfish.
Hmm.
That Mary song, I can't fix you because I'm trying to heal me, you know. And
Yes.
but now to the point where why can't we collectively heal each other? So that's the point that we are getting to.
No, absolutely. That is the point we're getting to. I think, I know for me, and I said this earlier, I had a lot of anger, a lot of feelings of inadequacy and whatever, and we push people away, especially if we feel that they have hurt us, they have violated us, or, you know, you did this to me and you weren't there for me then, so why are you trying to be there for me now? Even when
Right.
someone is perhaps seeking, seeking forgiveness or seeking change or seeking, pardon me, reconciliation, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
You're so hurt and you feel so deeply pained and violated that you're not open to that. And
That you
sometimes that's
don't leave
necessary.
that door
Sometimes you need to
open.
take time to heal yourself. But I think the healing has to happen within you first, sometimes before you can let someone into that space. And
Right.
if we're not already doing our own inner work, really going deep enough, this is just, you can chime in and tell me
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about it. But I know for me, it takes a lot of self-analysis and
Examination.
self-evaluation and examination, and to look at what's really going on with you first,
Yes.
to deal with the anger, to deal with the bitterness, to deal with all of those emotions, of how you truly feel, and then being willing to articulate that. And
Right.
this is why I'm having these conversations as well. And I'm so glad, Ma, that we can do this, and that we're in a space, where
Yes.
we both feel comfortable being authentic and being open, as mother and daughter, and being able to share, because I think a lot of times people just
It's so important.
don't know what to say, how to say it, how to heal, how to go forward, how to get over certain things,
Mm-hmm.
how to talk to their parents, or like you said, I
How to
really know,
grow
right,
within yourself.
or necessarily how to grow within yourself. So I thank you so much for this. I think we said a lot. I had a few more questions. Did you feel like you valued yourself as a woman, and how did that manifest in your life and in your mothering?
I did not value myself as a woman, so surely I did not value the motherhood of being a woman. I didn't connect those dots, okay, because I didn't feel
Mm.
one space to another. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. That's why I'm asking the question. So you're saying you didn't feel, that's deep. So again, you became desensitized. You just kind of shut down emotionally in a lot of ways.
Right, right. And whether to shield my pain, not realizing what it was causing towards you. I never looked at that aspect of it. Like I said, I was selfish. And, to talk about it now. So, what I thought would be intimidating, I'm just grateful that, this platform has been open to
Yeah, I
discuss.
could tell when I approached you about it, you was a little like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna talk about all
What
that.
you trying to do?
I don't know if I'm gonna talk about all that. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I don't know if I'm gonna do that in the public. You know what I'm saying?
No, but
Everybody up in my
I
business.
I
You know what
I
I'm saying?
try to be these days a pretty, and that's, I'm a free flowing pretty much person anyway, so this is just another dynamic, you know.
Beautiful, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it. So I really don't have any more questions. I think we delved into a lot, and we can always do a part two. We talked about the absence of father and how that impacts us as women. I think that's a huge conversation in and of itself. We need our men. We
Yes,
need our fathers.
present
I know.
and
Yes,
engaged.
I know this is a woman's self-worth, because we must absolutely begin to and continue to value ourselves as women, but that does not mean that we don't see the extraordinary value of our fathers, our brothers, you know, all of that. And we need that. And we need men to be emotionally present as well, physically present. And when we don't have that, it you know,
such a void, such a void.
Such a void. And then we also need each other as women, as mothers and daughters and cousins and sisters. So I thank you so much. This allowed me to talk a little bit about some of my childhood experiences and how it shaped my mind. And I think it allowed you a platform to do the same. I think that's a huge issue for many women, unfortunately, to this day, being dark in this society. I don't think it's the same level. I don't think that's just my perception. There may be others that don't agree. You know, some women and men would have to share their experiences with that, but I think it's still, unfortunately, a challenge that affects our psyche. So I really don't have anything else to say. I just thank you so much for coming on and allowing me to share with you and sharing your experiences as well. So
and thank you as well. Let the healing, well, the healing's already begun.
And let it continue as well. So did you want to share something? I know you are a poet as well, and I want to share something about that, but I'll do that after you. I'll share that situation where I was like, you wrote that? Okay. Can you share that?
Yes.
With our listening audience, and then we'll close out.
July of 1990, Molika was 16 years old. And this poem I wrote 16, so I was 36. And it's called Requiem to a Daughter. I know I've hurt you. Forgive me, I'm sad. Our relationship strained. No talk to be had. Open the door to your mind. Unlock the key to your heart. Plummet the heights. Plunge the depths of knowledge and compassion. Amidst the anger and confusion, you and I are one. Stay with me, spiritually and physically, how happy we can be. Life is cruel, happening short, abrupt. Mistakes will be made on both our parts. That's the joy of love and life. Through stress and strife comes understanding, compassion, and peace.
And peace.
Diamo, I love you.
Aww.
And this poem is 30 years old.
That's my mama. And I love you too, Ma.
To God be the glory.
I'm grateful for this awesome healing journey, and I'm just so humbled by the grace.
Yes.
So humbled by the grace and the mercy. I'm gonna cut it off.
You are a testament to his love, grace, and mercy.
Oh,
so you just keep walking in that light.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you for that. And you as well. And we help each other. We support each other. We give to each other. And as we, pardon me, as we open up our hearts, just open up our hearts for more and more love, more and more light, more and more grace, more and more mercy. It just flows right in, pours right in when we open. So we have to be open. I know I was not open for a very long time. I was walking in I was walking in my fear. I was walking in my anger. I was walking.
That's the significance of the yellow as well. The light, okay?
Yes, the light and the brilliance and
the illumination.
Yes, and the brightness. And I'm so grateful. You know, it's been a long, hard journey. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy.
Amen.
Woo! And, you know, we should never stop and never, ever, ever, ever give up.
Never.
But I have to say, sometimes I understand why people do give up, because it is not easy. And the race is not to the swift.
Amen.
It's not to the swift. It's not even
but
to
it's
the
built for the strong. That's for sure.
It's for those who endure to the end. And when you can just endure to the end of situations and circumstances and just be patient with the process and wait, and be of good courage, wonderful things happen,
Miraculous.
Yes,
Amen.
absolutely. So I have to say, it's been a long, arduous
Ooh.
journey. So I'm grateful for that. Grateful for that poem. Thank you so much. Okay, before we close out, this is what I wanted to say. I remember you wrote that and you gave that to me. I think we were going through some situation. You gave that to me when I was 16. Like you said, I guess everybody gonna know my age now, right? So in 1990, and people gonna be like, so that means she
Click, click, click.
Yeah, I'm silly. Okay, so anyway, make a long story short, I just automatically assumed that you copied that out of a book. I said, she done copied something out of a book and gave me the poem. Like, really? And years later, when we went in the house, I mentioned that to you as something you copied out of a book. And you was like, I wrote that. And I was like, what? That was amazing to me. So I got some insight into you, and I wanted to close out with this point. Part of the healing is seeing that our parents and the people around us are human. I know that sounds so simple, but you had this gift that I knew nothing about as my mother. Like, I just saw you as my mother, and I saw my pain and my frustration or my anger, but there was more to you than just, and I know
what you
right. I know
perceived
this is
me to be
right.
within that anger.
Right. I know this is going to sound really weird to people, but there was more to you than that. And it takes us some time to
Did
grow
you
into
realize that gift that I had passed on to you at that point, or that developed years later?
Oh no, that was years later when I wrote intermittently as a child, but I really did not develop that. And, I didn't start writing more until I was an adult as part of my own catharsis, as part of my own healing. As I was looking back and seeing that a lot of the issues I had, I thought was rooted in my relationship with you. Among other things, missing my father as well, because he was not in the
Right.
home. But no, I see it definitely as something, a beautiful gift that I inherited, among many others. But I didn't see that. I didn't really start writing to my 20s, I want to say. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on Self-Worth Sundays. Please support. We have a book that we collaboratively share our poetry and our journey of motherhood and womanhood.
Yes.
So I will make
Yes.
sure the link is attached to this video, and also join us for Womb Wellness Wednesdays as we continue the healing journey using
The breath of
meditation.
life.
Yes, as we continue the healing journey, and I engage you in various healing arts, particularly meditation, as we continue to breathe together, heal together, and release.
Yes.
Release
And flow
and
together.
flow together. So blessings always on your journey. Peace and love. Love you, Ma. I'll talk to you later.
God bless. What a blessing.
Hey, everyone. We love you. We hope you got something out of this. Blessings always on your journey. Peace and love.